You're listening to the Valley Current.
Hey, Jack.
You're engrossed in a contract. Are you selling something?
Yeah, we're selling a condo, or an apartment.
Where? In Thailand?
Yeah, I have pretty much only Thailand at the moment to keeping me occupied, yeah.
You have an extra apartment that you're selling?
No, I have that. Remember, I have that real estate project that I had the misfortune to employ Mike Ryan on. And so now I'm the project manager for that. So I sold a penthouse there earlier this year, like 4,000 square feet with private lift access. So I'm due to deliver that in December to the Australian buyer. And I now have a Hong Kong Chinese lady who wants to buy a smaller apartment, about 1,400 square feet.
At the resort?
No, at the real estate project. Can I put a note up here? Chat, yeah.
Yeah. Where's the project?
In Samui.
So this is separate from the resort?
Separate from the resort, yeah. So I'm actually staying at the resort. So that's where I am right now. I'm one of the hotel rooms here, one of the one-bedroom suites here. So I've been here most of this year. Last year I didn't come because it was just too depressing to come down here.
Well, is it otherwise empty?
No, it's not. It's not empty. We've been lucky. We got a bunch of long-term tenants here, so they're paying a pittance rent, but it's better than having the place shut down.
Right.
So it's enabled me to keep the lights on, basically. And actually, I've managed to do renovations of all the rooms. Taking the opportunity whilst we were sparsely occupied. So nearly every room is now finished. We've upgraded the air cons and redecorated and put smart TVs in every room nearly now. So that process will be finished by December also. So
you've invested more money then, right?
Well, I've had to put some more money in, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, most of it's come from the cash flow from the the tenants we've had. We've run at about, I think the lowest we had was 30% occupancy last year, but which wasn't enough to make ends meet. But once we got to 50%, even with the low rent rate, we cut the salaries right, the employees right back and what have you. We closed the beach club, and that remains closed, but we have opened a new cafe because it was just a much better, smaller scale to open. I mean, the island is just deserted. I mean, I can send you some links later, but the main tourist drag here is called Chuang, and that road, the beach road at Chuang, is 5.2 kilometers long, and on the ocean side of that road, it's almost unbroken. There's like about 3 undeveloped small plots in 5.2 kilometers, and last year every single hotel was closed. I would say maybe a 5 are open now on the beach side of the road, and all the shops and stuff which are inside the hotel. Most of the hotels have shops between them and the road, and there are shops down the other side, and you basically got 5.2 kilometers of boarded up shops. So
wow.
There's like one of the 2 McDonald's is open for a few hours a day, one of the 2 Burger Kings is open a few hours a day, and then you got like 3 or 4 massage shops open, Starbucks is open, and that's pretty much. And the Starbucks haven't even fixed their aircon. They won't even spend the money on fixing their aircon. It's just it's like a nuclear wasteland. I mean, it's just how that area is going to restart, because no one wants to be in the middle of an area that feels like Beirut, right? On a bad day. So I mean, one thing about Beach Republic is I'm lucky. I'm kind of I'm not in the center of a town. I'm on a stretch of the beach away from that. So we're not blighted by that kind of
right.
Holocaust,
But this other project is something you started building new construction on, it sounds like, right? It continued. We started this 2005, so and I wouldn't have started if I thought I'd still be doing it in 2021. I can tell you that. But it's basically 28 apartments. So I've now sold 21. Hopefully, this will be number 22 today. So this is all pre-construction, or they're done?
They are. We're now finishing the last few apartments. So the one I'm selling today is 100% finished.
Nice.
So the penthouse that I sold was just a shell finish. So I'm doing construction to the buyer's specification, and that will be finished. That's going to be stunning. It's going to be something else. It's going to be the nicest Well, it's going to be the most stunning kitchen sitting room in the whole development, even including some of the villas.
Did you get the price you expected, or this whole pandemic
No, this is
thing?
COVID emergency sale price.
Yeah, is it terrible?
Yeah, and a big discount. Yeah, so the list price for this 3-bedroom apartment I'm selling now, so it's 1,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, and the list price was 11.4 million, I think, and I'm selling it for $6 baht, so $200,000 for 1,400 square foot.
And you're giving them 50% financing, the website says?
No, this is a cash. That price is cash.
Wow. And what do people pay for like taxes and condo fees and all that jazz when they
condo fees are very cheap. Condo fees about $200 US a month. That includes we have a big gym and a swimming pool and 24-hour security, 24-hour CCTV. There's community internet. That includes all the landscaping, maintenance and stuff. So everything apart from the actual cleaning of the apartment. And I just gave her the quotation. So to clean her apartment twice a week, the monthly fee is $75.
Wow, that's so cheap.
Yeah.
So are you going to take one of these units yourself?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I mean, I want to build us. I actually we came up with a new design of a small, the small villa's 4,400 square feet. So I want one of those.
That's huge. Right.
Yeah, the big. So previously we had 8,000 and about 5,000, so about 5,500. So, but it's just too. I mean, the 8, it's too big.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice website. Whoever did your website did a nice job.
Thank you. Yeah, the new villa type I don't think is on there, right? Okay, so you can see the 2 villa types on screen there.
Right.
So you can see the larger footprint. That is the sort of. Actually, there's a 3rd floor to that as well. So under the swimming pool, there's like another room, which is can be used as a gym or a maid's room or another guest bedroom or a study or something like that. So but that's 5 bedroom. The one you're looking at now is 5 bed. The big one, sorry, not the one on the left of the screen.
Right.
The big one is like upstairs. You have a huge master bedroom, and then downstairs you've got 4 more bedrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, so huge master bedroom, massive ensuite bathroom, walk-in wardrobe. And just gigantic sitting room. Then you've got the stairs down to a big games room. Actually, where it shows the massage, that's the other option, the cinema. So that's what we've actually built. So that's 4 more bedrooms down there, and then the floor below that there's actually in that particular villa there's a gym. Then we have a medium-sized villa, which is a little bit. It still has a master bedroom upstairs. So if you look at the villa on the left of the screen, that's the smaller footprint, I think. But can you find the upstairs of that?
I'm just leafing through. Yeah. This says pool.
That's the medium-sized villa downstairs. So basically, so upstairs you have the similar layout. You have a master bedroom, then the sitting room is a bit smaller, but still huge. Excluding the master bedroom, upstairs is about 2,200 square feet, including the deck and the pool.
Wow.
So basically for the new villa, we've chopped off the master bedroom and shortened the villa. So then there are just 3 bedrooms downstairs, but I really arranged it so all 3 of the bedrooms get the ocean view at the front.
How far is the beach from this actual unit?
It's 1.7 kilometers as the crow flies.
Okay.
So you can see the actual view. Well, I don't know.
You're not worried about climate change kind of wiping it out, right? Not in this lifetime, right?
No, we're 80 meters above sea level.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So how far away is it from the town that's blighted at this point?
Well, actually, the thing about Samui is it's 20 minutes from. This faces north, and so if you go to northeast, you've got the airport, and if you go a bit further around from the airport, you've got the main beach town. But in between our place and the airport is actually where all the restaurants and bars are, and that's less blighted because those continue to be frequented by residents.
But generally speaking, it sounds like you've kind of stayed the course of running.
Touchwood, we one of very few places that stayed open. one of very few places that have, improved the condition of the property. The property's in the best condition it's been in 10 years now. So with the exception of the main beach club, because that's just a big investment to fix that up, and there's nobody here to fix it up for. So tourism is effectively still closed, although they just announced quarantine-free travel.
Yeah, I saw that. I sent you that article that came through, which has it's got to be good news for you, right?
Yeah, it's going to help. But of course, there's always like a sting in the tail. The paperwork's still shitty, and people are worried they're going to change the rules, which they've been doing on a weekly basis, literally for the last year or more. So they promise all this stuff, and then they kind of like, oh, but you got to do this, and the embassies are obstructive. You got to get a travel certificate to get here, and you got to buy $100,000 health insurance to get here, and the opposite of Dubai, right? Dubai gives you free COVID insurance, which is valid globally for 30 days after your trip to Dubai, because in reality, it costs very little to provide that insurance, but the government want to make money out of it. Yeah, that's the actual view from the site.
It's a great view. I mean, it's amazing.
So if you're going up there, the apartment I'm selling is
quite a. You got kind of an amazing field in front of it. It looks like, right? Is that your property in front of it?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Is that the one you're selling?
No. That's there's a bit of a lag here, but that was the clubhouse pool.
Okay.
So the villa you're looking at right there, that's a medium-sized villa. So you see the bedroom on the right-hand end of that villa. So the new style villa, you just lose that bedroom basically.
So it looks
the one you can see, the one I'm selling now is in the upper building on the ground floor, on the upper right building on the ground floor.
So it looks like you've got three different groups of buildings. Is it 3 or 4 different groups?
Well, basically there's 2 apartment blocks. There was the clubhouse building and the other double block, and then there's a bunch of villas. We've built 7 out of, we're halfway through number 8. So we built 7.5 out of about 26 villas.
It's kind of like a big ambitious thing unless you own the construction company. Do you own the construction company?
No, which has been a problem because then I've been vulnerable to being ripped off by people like Mike Ryan.
Right.
So you see how that aerial shot there you're looking at, we hadn't even started the west wing of the next to the swimming pool. That west wing now is nearly complete.
So this property that looks like it's on a cliff, is that cement? Like, what is it on here? It looks like
it's on a retaining wall, which costs $300,000.
Okay. And this stuff looks like it might be a little more secure. The stuff over to the right of the screen, looks like multiple buildings.
Yeah, it's the villas, but basically the villas also right next to the coconut block where you can see it's on the top of that big retaining wall.
Yes.
There's an empty space there, and there's space there for 3 of the smaller type villas to go. So that's the plan.
Okay. Wow. So you've had your full of Thai construction, it sounds like, right?
Oh yeah. But I've got a lot more to do.
I mean, what do you think it actually costs to build per square foot these days? Because I could tell you what it is in California, which is crazy.
Material prices here have started to, go up, like copper electric cable went up 25% in a week. So we're starting to see these inflationary spikes come through. But right now, I can build that new smaller type of villa. I mean, 6 months ago, I could have built it for about $350,000, maybe $400,000 to a good standard, with good quality finishes, granite kitchens, and that's 4,500 square feet,
that's like $100 a square foot, right?
Yeah,
that's a huge. Like I can tell you, people are saying California is going to 1,000 a square foot to build
construction.
Just for the construction, the land is crazy. The footprint of bare land that you pay in downtown Palo Alto. Recently, a 600 square foot cottage sold for $3 million. And it's an old knockdown cottage, literally very small, tiny lot, no real backyard. And people were like, people want the convenience of walking to downtown Palo Alto. Mm-hmm. And there's Facebook millionaires will pay for really tiny houses, and they like sort of cherish the idea that they're low footprint, and they pay $3 million. I just think it's nuts. Yes, I mean, it's totally nuts. It's not like the weather is great all year long. I think the weather's pretty good for 6, 7, 8 months out of the year. What's the weather like right now where you are?
So most days you get blue sky for half the day. It's the tropics.
Do you try to like capture that water? Do you need to like recycle water or use that water in some fashion? Is there any water?
Yeah, we have well water. So I guess we're capturing it by soaking through the ground, but we're actually going to start. I was just talking about it last week. We're not capturing the water,
right?
So as rainwater, so we can capture that, and of course the rainwater here is very good. It's nice. It's nice water. It's easy to treat and then use as tap water.
Yeah, California has all sorts of fires and all sorts of water shortages. I mean, the state is like under siege. It doesn't have the right political leadership. It's become sort of a lot of homeless people. Los Angeles has, I think, 25%. That one city has 25% of all the homeless in California are in one city, in one area. Like they're just like camped. It's unbelievable. Tim, if you visit Los Angeles, I mean, San Francisco is not that much better, but Los Angeles is the worst. It's like some sort of encampment.
I remember seeing something about the San Francisco stuff last year. I think it was in the election cycle news. Right. They were blaming it on Pelosi and stuff like that.
Well, it's a combination of things, but I have to tell you, there are a lot of people. Musk, of course, left for Texas, and he sold 6 different residences that he had, and of course took all the income that he would otherwise be taxed at 13.3% out of the state. And I tell you, a lot of people are following him. A lot of rich people are like, hey, if Elon thinks it's the right thing to do, we're leaving. And mostly it's Austin, because Austin is kind of liberal Texas. It's a one little liberal enclave. Or it's Florida. Those 3.
A friend of mine just moved to Tampa. He said it's booming there. He said, houses go on the market. He moved from Thailand to there, right? Because he was in the hospitality. Well, he was in real estate actually, but he was selling to only tourists, and he took the view that wasn't going to come back properly anytime soon. So
that's where I am right now. I'm actually in Tampa, Florida. It's a long story, but the reason I'm here is my brother. Well, first my brother got sick, my younger brother, and he ended up dying suddenly of throat cancer. And then he was the support structure for my mother, who was then at the time turning 90, and she lived to 91. But basically she said, look, I don't know what to do. I don't really want to go into an old age home. It's COVID. I don't know if they really are going to support me. So I moved, and Lee moved, and Lee came, and she kind of liked it. The weather was decent at the time of the move. It gets a little hot in August, and then it tapers off. Now it's great. I mean, now the weather is just like spring weather. It's gorgeous compared to like it starts getting cold in California. But we bought this place in Tampa in what's called Corey Lake. I could send you some pictures. It's this lakefront property. Most people have a boat in their backyard. We actually have a boat. We barely use it. But basically, there's a lot of fishing. There's a lot of water sports. And you get, for what you get, we have a 9,000 square foot house, because that's what came on the market, and we snapped it up. I think we paid like maybe $1.5 million total for it. It was cheap. Wow. I mean, in California, it would have been like $10 million.
But how long ago was that you bought that?
About a year and a half ago, maybe, like that, like a year ago.
But, it could have doubled since then, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it did, because you can't find stuff. You're right. Your friend is right. I'd like to meet up with him if he's here in Tampa, but if he's a real estate guy, I'm sure he's like looking at stuff and saying, wow, it just goes on the market, it gets snapped up, blah, blah, blah. And of course, there are a lot of
the house he bought, he got, it had been on the market for 2 days, and he was the third offer.
Right. And he probably had all cash and was able to close quickly, right?
Cash buyer,
Right. You wish that were true at your place where you are, right?
Well, the people can't even effectively get into the country still. They only, this rule change doesn't come into effect till next month, and people are going to wait to see, the Thai government are going to mess around and play games, which they tend to nearly always do.
Right.
Put in stupid restrictions and try and get more money out of people. So
this Hong Kong buyer just did it sight unseen, just based on photographs?
Well, he's a friend of mine, and he'd already been to the project a few years ago.
Okay, so he knew what he was getting.
Yeah, but what he bought is actually, doesn't exist on the property. So he just had to go. It was literally a shell, and he used to live in Japan, so he's very exacting with his requirements about qualities of finishes and the materials. I mean, it's going to, which I'm happy about, because it's going to be an amazing showcase for me. He wants to get it into Thailand Tatler, Hong Kong Tatler. He's really proud of what he's building. Nice.
So which one of them are these? Like, is it the one up here in the corner?
Well, no, that's out of date. The building is not, it's right next to the swimming pool, but on the other side. So the building's not even shown there. But if you go back to the drone shot, the building is shown.
Oh, in the drone. Okay, in the drone shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get out of
this thing.
Yeah, maybe I should take that off because it's so far out of date now.
This is out of date?
Well, that picture was taken 4 years ago.
I like the 3D. I like the 3D part.
Yeah, no, it's nice because you can see what it is, but it was, I should maybe get another of those done. In fact, even the drone is out of date now. So I met with the guy who does the drones yesterday and said, can we just do an update of the section of the villas haven't changed. So you see, well, stop there. If you stop there.
Stop it.
Okay. But with that view, I said, stop there. That was like what the small villa will be like. It's still massive.
Yeah. So how is it that people actually get immigration visas to live in these houses? Do they get some special approach, or do they only live there a few months out of the year?
No, you can live here year round. Actually, there's a government visa program, which I actually have this visa. It's called Thailand Elite, and the current price is $20,000 or $18,000 for a 5-year visa. So, and then you can just come and go. But that gives you some other privileges as well, like fast track at the airport and some other stuff. But essentially, the retirement visa, you have to put $30,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
And you don't get the privileges, and they can change the rule on the retirement visa. They've upped the amount already from like 15 to 30. So, they're all over the shop. 1 minute they say they're trying to attract people, the next minute they're putting obstacles in the way. But Thailand Elite is the most straightforward way to do it. But I've got the lifetime Thailand Elite, which I paid, I was lucky, I paid about $15,000 for lifetime.
Wow.
But that was in 2004. So I've already had 17 years of membership.
Is it a swimmable set of water there? Is it actually swimmable?
Yeah, beaches are nice. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. So it's like a bike ride. It's like a bike ride or a walk to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Most people. Yeah, actually, you do see push bikes, but most people have mopeds or cars or whatever. But that island you can see is Koh Phangan, which is a beautiful view to have from Koh Samui. So it's a lovely view.
I was trying to sell one of my friends who decided to leave the U.S. He left for Cambodia. I'm sorry, he left for Laos.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what are you doing? He says, I'm going to buy some land and I'm going to construct my own home on the river. I forget what the Mekong River, I guess it is. It's like one of the.
Didn't I chat to him? And he's in Luang Prabang, right?
Yeah, right. And I said to him, that's crazy. You should talk to Tim. He's got this beautiful set of apartments and penthouses for what you're going to spend. And I think he's going to spend like most of his retirement savings, which I thought was crazy, and then manage a construction project for one unit, his own unit. And he wanted to do like mahogany wood and stuff that I just thought, the guy's like 78 years old. And I said, you're going to kill yourself in your old age. You got to be nuts if I'm you.
Plus also, doing construction here, it's you've got to, I mean, I've been doing it here for a long time, and you still got to take care who you hire and what have you. Just like we went to the biggest aircon supplier on the island to put the aircons in. I go in 3 days ago, and they put the pipes. They've taken a shortcut. They stuck the water drain pipes into the internal water drain pipes, which my plumber said is a big no-no. So they're supposed to drain into external pipes,
yes,
so you don't get any smell coming back up through the aircon units.
Right.
But, they've taken a shortcut, and so I went, had to chew them out, and they came back and fixed it.
So
unless he knows all this shit. I mean, I didn't even know that, right? My plumber told me.
Is there a legal system that you can get an adjudication if you have to really get into a big fight, or is it crazy?
Well,
not really.
No, the Thai contractors are, I don't know. Look, it varies. I mean, I know a lady, she's already up to nearly $1 million on construction of her villa. She's been totally fucked over.
Wow.
A very, very nice English lady. I mean, it's going to be worth millions of dollars when it's done anyway, so she's still okay. But she should have been finished a year and a half ago for at least $500,000 less.
Right. So do people typically are like snowbirds? They fly from wherever it's cold and come in November, December, January, February, because of course in the U.S., most of Minnesota and other places, northern states, get a pretty bad sort of cold weather. Boston, New York, it's pretty ugly. I could imagine that retired folks would want to be out of there for whatever number of months, 5-6 months. I don't know if it.
Quite a lot of people live here year round now. We have owners at Azure who would typically come for 3 to 6 months of the year. One of them is Russian, so he's definitely fleeing the cold in Russia. But because it's been so difficult to travel, some people who used to come here for a few weeks and go back to Dubai for a few weeks, they couldn't get here, right, because of all the restrictions. It was just a nightmare to actually get into the country.
Right.
But then finally they went and did the 2-week quarantine in the hotel room and all this. They had to have whatever documents and insurance.
That's what he did. That's what Bob did in Laos. He was quarantined for 2 or 3 weeks in Laos, and then he was allowed to be in your late 70s and do that kind of travel. I guess he's learning the language, and I guess he's doing some sort of charitable work there. But I just thought it was crazy that he was.
Is he committed to doing that? Actually doing that. I mean, I have a good friend. He was here from Phuket at the weekend. He used to run a hotel in Luang Prabang. That's where I met him. I went to Luang Prabang and stayed at his hotel. So he probably knows somebody up there who's more trustworthy than the average contractor.
Well, he did some wacky deal that I thought was crazy, where he took on some local guy as a partner who's putting no money in, but sort of like managing it. And then it's going to be like in the will, it's going to be like a right of survivorship. So he's like giving away effectively half of his wealth to this unaffiliated person. I think he's.
Well, it also creates a not very good incentive for the other person.
Right. No, I mean, it's weird because I said to him, Bob, there's not exactly a great outcome here for your family. He's got a few family members. He's like, hey, man, I'm getting rid of my family. Like he's like, I've divorced my family. His wife died of cancer, and he's been single for a while. And I guess somewhere in the story, maybe he thinks he's going to attract some young woman. Maybe that's what's really going to happen. And this is just a placeholder. And then all the paperwork will get rejiggered. I mean, but I haven't talked to him for a while. I just thought what he was doing was crazy.
Yeah. But his local partner doesn't, well, let's put it this way. The local partner does not have an incentive for him to have extremely good longevity.
Right. Exactly. That's what I said. And, it's a big challenge, I think, to be an American and to go to a place that isn't as modern as your place, where you're starting from scratch and you're hoping to manage a process and do a bunch of stuff. And, he was a professor at UC Berkeley in geography, which is kind of a funny subject. So he knows that geography really well, and he wants to help teach geography there. but of course there's language issues and, paperwork for taking away some local's job and that sort of thing. So he's...
Oh yeah, it's all red tape and stuff here as well too. So it's got increasingly bad. Generally xenophobia in Asia has got worse. It was always actually there under the surface. In Thailand, it was hidden by the smiles, but they're always pretty racist against the foreigners. Now, because of the government, the military government here, the guy running the shows, racist.
Do you like being on the beach as compared to being in the big city? Because you've got an apartment in the city too, right? Don't you?
Yeah, we have a house in Bangkok. So I spent most of last year in Bangkok because there wasn't much going on in Samui. I was lucky I had a guy taking care of the long-term tenants, and I was just kind of depressed about the whole situation.
Right.
And then on 1st of January, I came down and thought, right, I got to get to grips with it. And being on the ground here, so I've made shit happen at my other project. So because using the cash flow from the penthouse sale, I've managed to do quite a lot of other work on there cheaply, just cheap. Like I kind of discovered I had a duplex apartment hidden in my clubhouse building, which was a massive waste of space reception. And so I spent about, $5,000 so far moving walls around and building a garden and stuff. And now I've got a 3,000 square foot duplex to sell, which is stunning. And I'll send you the photos.
Nice. So when you think of all the places you've lived, because of course you've lived in London, you've lived, I want to remember, Monaco for a period of time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like you've lived in probably dozens of places. I don't have the complete list. Do you look back and say, this is the right place to be? Or do you say, wow, I really miss London, or I really miss Monaco, I really miss any of these other places I used to live?
I think times have changed, and I think I was very lucky with some of my timing where I lived. Like when I lived in San Francisco, it was 1995, and things were pretty good there, and it was
right.
It was the only thing I had to worry about the whole time I was there was the OJ trial.
Right.
Right. Race riots and stuff. So that was a great time to be there. And I suspect now is not such a great time to be in San Francisco or the Bay Area as it was, which is a great shame because you know how much I love, the Bay Area and Palo Alto and San Francisco, the whole area actually. But anyway, let's see, does the pendulum start to swing back the other direction at some point? But Monaco was great also for a short. I was lucky again that 1996 was a great time to move there. Real estate rentals were just a joke. I was living there for £100 a week in an amazing apartment.
Right. And you had a bird's eye view of the race, right? Every year.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that was good. And then, London was great too. But I've heard it's kind of, it's not the same since COVID came along. A lot of businesses went bust and, a lot of people are still working from home. So it's lost that vibe.
Right.
So, and also Bangkok used to be just amazing, used to be like 24-hour, pulsating city. And now it's, there's a curfew at night. It was 9 p.m. You had to be, so the restaurants had to close at 8 and they're not allowed to serve alcohol. Yeah, wow. They're not allowed to serve booze and they close at 8. They just moved that curfew to 10.
Wow.
So, but I mean, still, restaurants close at 9. It's, this is from a city that used to, people used to go home at 2 a.m.
Right.
Routinely.
Right. I always thought of it as like 24 hours, like New York, kind of. It's always open.
Yeah, it was almost like that. So actually, we've had a lot of people come to Samui to live here, for multiple months, if not or permanently from Bangkok, and even rich Thai families because they're cooped up in these condominiums.
Right.
Now real estate in Bangkok is somehow it's still expensive. I mean, they've got 200 or 400,000 unsold condos in Bangkok, but still the prices are holding kind of firm. I mean, there are some bargains to be had, but there aren't many distressed sellers. So, and the banks aren't foreclosing on people as yet.
It's surprising. It's surprising to me. I think the same is true in San Francisco, even with all the homelessness and poverty, and really the city is dirty. I mean, it's almost like the trash collectors are doing minimal work, and the streets are dirty, the highways are dirty. I mean, I just find it like it's not the same as what it used to be. No. But still, the pricing is very bubbly. I mean, the pricing and stuff gets snapped up, and it's kind of an amazing time because you look at the value of what you get for the price you pay, and you just shake your head and say, that's just crazy.
But the Fed's printing money, right?
Yeah, I mean, the rates are staying pretty low, and people are willing to lever up, and they can make the monthly payment work out. These businesses pay, Google and Facebook and others are paying primo dollars to new graduates. I mean, these people get jobs, and you wonder, like, what are they really buying? But what do people do that only live part-time? Do they rent it? Like, is there a rental program, or what do they actually do?
Yeah, you can come here. Oh, hold on, I move something around and then it'll change. But anyway, so yeah, you can come and rent here. I mean, look, you can come to Beach Republic right now. You could rent the room I'm in, which is what's this? It's 1,000 square feet, 1-bedroom apartment, so spacious 1-bedroom, 1,000 square feet, including a balcony, and you could rent this for $600 a month, including maid service.
Wow, so that's pretty cheap.
Yeah,
it's really cheap. So what do people do? Is there a restaurant there, or what do they do for food? Are they cooking?
Yeah, well, we opened our cafe. So one of the reasons that we've kept our occupancy up is we opened the cafe earlier in the year. So, but we're serving, it used to be, I don't know, it used to be $10 for a plate of Thai food. Now it's $2.50.
Wow, that's really cheap.
Yeah. No. So effectively, we're a 4-star hotel. You can have room service Thai food for $4.50.
So why isn't that something that gets into like the FT or some economist or something that says, look, do you want the best value on the planet? Make your way to Thailand and make your way to your hotel.
I think a lot of some people realize that, and you've got these digital nomads and people coming here. You've got crypto traders coming here. We've had crypto traders who took to penthouses, making fortunes. Just sitting here, living for peanuts. Living luxuriously for peanuts. So,
well, you got fast internet because your video is great, right? And it's
we're on. Yeah, I'm on my Wi-Fi too. So we've got a gigabit connection. So, which is $20 a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an amazing fact given the remote part of the world that you're in.
Look, Thailand's always been good with internet infrastructure. They've always been good and cheap. Even they've got 5G coming. Well, so one network already has 5G on the island, and my provider will have it by January.
What's your provider? What's the name of your provider there?
DTAC. It's just a local
guy. What's the major provider there? Is it Vodafone, or what's the actual major provider?
They're all independent because it's Thailand and they've got protectionist rules. So you've got True and DTAC and AIS, so the 3 big guys.
Interesting.
In fact, they might be the only guys.
Interesting. So when you look at the future of Thailand generally, are you sort of optimistic that it's going to get back to this sort of place that people want to visit? Or you say, wow, the government really has to get its act together. Well,
definitely the government has to get its act together. They need to get a non-military government in here who've got some clue how to run the economy. So these guys have got no clue. All they know how to do is impose, rules and regulations and make it less and less attractive to visit. So until they've stopped all this, curfew and, arresting tourists for having an illegal glass of wine. I mean,
really? Wow.
Yeah, so or fining them or whatever, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. So, but they just, that's just the mindset of these people.
Well,
so they need to stop that.
Isn't the Thai economy like 50% tourism? It's a huge number, isn't it?
Well, they reckon it was 20%, but I think it's more than that if you include the knock-on effect. So if you figure that 90% of the hotels in Samui are closed, or certainly 90% of the hotel workers are being laid off, right? And they've left the island because they've gone back to their home villages, so
right.
They can't afford to stay here, right? So look, at one point, during the internal travel restrictions here, which are still there, you still got to have travel passes and vaccination certificates or whatever. It changes. Also, that all changes weekly as well. It's so confusing, and the rules are applied haphazardly. So, sometimes they wave all the traffic through without taking anybody. Next time they'll want everything. Next time they'll want one thing.
Is the infection rate low, though, as a result of all this, or are people going to the hospital?
Well, it depends. I mean, it's the infection rate is it's all about how much testing they do of asymptomatic people, right? So they can adjust the infection rate according to what they want. So the main thing that's driving, or one of the main things that's driving the infection rate here is they've got a lot of political protests against the government and against the royal family because the new guy's not popular. So. To keep the protest, they've been putting this curfew, saying that it's to protect everybody from COVID, but that's not the reason for the curfew. So, so they've got a completely different motivation, and these people they don't care if they smash the economy. And I was going to say, I think the GDP must have been down 40%. They're saying it's going to be up 1%, but I mean that's just complete garbage. The tourism is wiped out, right? So that's 20% of GDP gone right away. Right. Thai Airways is not flying at all. All the planes are grounded. The Toyota factories were closed because of COVID. Lots of other factories were closed because of COVID. Then you have all the knock-on effects from, and people can't pay all these people who now don't have jobs, they can't pay their house loans or they can't pay their rent. They can't pay their motorbike loans, can't pay their credit card bills. We're in default on our hotel loan here, so.
But the banks are being gracious about it, right? Aren't they?
At the moment, they are, because if they try and start for selling stuff, everything will go to zero.
Right.
And also they can't do that. They've got to prop it up, right? So otherwise, they're going to have to admit they're completely insolvent.
But are they getting funding from the government the way the U.S. just hands out money? Are they?
No. The few. I don't know if the banks are actually, but I haven't heard that they are. But the government here gave out a bunch of money to the airlines, including Thai Airways. I think they gave them $500 million. They gave Bangkok Airways, which runs the monopoly to Samui, $100 or $200 million. But like small hotels like us, they've given absolutely zero. Nothing.
Ouch.
Yeah, no support for anybody. I mean, a number of small businesses are wiped out. Even in Bangkok, you go down the main road, Sukhumvit, and it's boarded up. Lots of places gone out of business forever. Some landlords have been good and been really, really reasonable, and some landlords have just said, no, you're late with the rent, you're closed. So just for a case-by-case basis. I suspect that more have been harsh than generous, but and of course my co-work space business in Bangkok, that was all right. That was struggling before COVID, and thank God I threw the towel in on that last year because it was just that's still completely totally. The landlord took the building back. He's a very nice guy actually, and he actually returned my deposit, which he didn't have to do because I was in arrears on the rent, but he felt sorry for me. So super nice guy, but he took over the business, and he's still sitting on an empty building. Not 100% empty. He's got a few tenants, but it's not. Nothing like the rent that we were paying when we had the WeWork business model, unfortunately, where we rented the whole building and then tried to rent it on.
Right. It's such an amazing idea that Thailand would be not thinking along the lines of what's the consequence to.
Well, they just don't think. They announced that quarantine-free travel, right? But then they don't think about the other.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode of The Valley Current.